We've all seen the Hollywood version of Cleopatra, draped in jewels, enchanting powerful men with just a look. For centuries, history, mostly written by her Roman enemies, painted her as a seductress, a woman who used her beauty and charm to control Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But what if I told you that story is a carefully crafted piece of propaganda? That the real Cleopatra was far more dangerous, far more brilliant, and far more influential than the myth allows. Today, we're unrolling the scroll to reveal the truth about one of history's most misunderstood leaders. Forget the romance. We're talking about a masterclass in power, strategy, and survival. So, who was the real Cleopatra? First, let's get the facts straight. She wasn't just some beautiful face. She was a formidable intellectual, fluent in at least 9 languages. The first of her Ptolemaic dynasty to even bother learning Egyptian. She was a mathematician, a chemist, and a shrewd political analyst. She inherited a kingdom on the brink of collapse, squeezed between warring factions at home and the ever-expanding jaws of Rome abroad. For a young queen, survival wasn't just a goal. It was a daily battle. And her weapons weren't just her looks. They were her mind and her iron will. This is where Julius Caesar enters the picture. When he arrived in Egypt, Cleopatra wasn't just a girl trying to win a man's heart. She was a deposed queen fighting a civil war against her own brother. Her famous arrival, rolled up in a carpet and presented to Caesar, wasn't a seductive stunt. It was a high-stakes gamble. A brilliant, audacious move to bypass her brother's guards and gain a private audience with the most powerful man in the world. She didn't offer him love. She offered him an alliance. She knew Caesar needed Egypt's immense wealth to fund his own ambitions, and she needed his legions to secure her throne. It was a transaction, a brutally pragmatic partnership between 2 political titans. She assessed the situation, identified the key player, and made a move no one saw coming. That's not seduction, that's genius. And what about Mark Antony? Again, history frames it as a grand, tragic love story. The truth is more complex and far more impressive. After Caesar's assassination, Rome was plunged into another civil war. Cleopatra had to choose a new protector for Egypt. She chose Antony, a powerful general but also a man known for his extravagance and ambition. When she sailed to meet him at Tarsus, she didn't just show up. She staged a spectacle. She arrived on a magnificent barge with silver oars and purple sails, dressed as the goddess Venus, surrounded by attendants. This wasn't just for show. It was a calculated display of wealth and power, designed to communicate one thing. Egypt was not a nation to be conquered, but an ally to be courted. She was showing Antony that she was his equal, a fellow monarch with resources he desperately needed. Their alliance wasn't just about passion, it was a geopolitical merger. Together, they dreamed of a new Eastern empire, one that could challenge the authority of Rome itself. It was a bold vision, and for a time, it almost worked. Cleopatra's genius wasn't just in securing alliances, it was in governance. She was a popular ruler among her own people. She stabilized the Egyptian economy, reformed the currency, and managed a famine so effectively that her people revered her as the goddess Isis incarnate. She understood that a leader's true power comes from the support of their people. While Roman politicians were busy backstabbing each other in the Senate, Cleopatra was building a stable, prosperous nation. She wasn't just playing defense against Rome. She was building an alternative center of power in the Mediterranean. She was a nation builder, an economic reformer, and a leader who genuinely connected with her subjects. So, what can we learn from her today? The lessons are surprisingly modern. First, adaptability. Cleopatra's political landscape changed constantly. Allies became enemies overnight. She navigated these storms by constantly adjusting her strategy. She was never rigid, never frozen by fear. When one plan failed, she already had another in motion. In our world of rapid change, that kind of mental agility is priceless. Second, the power of narrative. Cleopatra was a master of public relations. She understood that perception is reality. She presented herself as a goddess, a loving mother, and a powerful queen all at once. She controlled her own image long before the age of social media. She knew that power isn't just about what you have, it's about what people think you have. She crafted a brand for herself and for Egypt that commanded respect and awe. Today's leaders and brands could learn a thing or two from her ability to shape her own story and captivate an audience. And finally, resilience. Let's be clear, Cleopatra ultimately lost. Her forces were defeated by Octavian at the Battle of Actium. Mark Antony took his own life. She was captured, her kingdom destined to become a Roman province. But even in defeat, she refused to be humiliated. The story of her death, choosing a quick, dignified end by an asp's bite rather than being paraded through the streets of Rome in chains, was her final act of control. She denied her enemy his ultimate victory. She chose the terms of her own exit, cementing her legendary status for all time. She lost the war, but she won the narrative. In the end, when the dust of Rome's conquest settled, Cleopatra's empire was gone, but her legend had just begun. The Romans, especially her nemesis Octavian, tried to erase her legacy, painting her as a decadent foreign temptress to justify their conquest. But they failed. She became more than a queen. She became a timeless symbol of female intelligence, strategic leadership, and the art of reinvention. History tried to reduce her to a footnote in the lives of powerful men, but time has revealed her as one of humanity's most compelling and impactful leaders. She didn't just define an era, she outlasted it. So the next time you see a movie or read a book about Cleopatra, look beyond the romance. See the strategist, the negotiator, the leader who held one of the world's greatest empires at bay with little more than her intellect and her indomitable will. Cleopatra's greatest conquest wasn't a man, and it wasn't Rome. It was time itself. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories that challenge history. And let me know in the comments which historical figure you think is most misunderstood. Until next time, stay curious.